Just added Caitlin. There she is. That was easy. Awesome. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you.
Awesome. Happy Friday. Happy Friday before Christmas. How's it going?
Good. I had my birthday yesterday, so
happy birthday.
And I was flying yesterday, so that's why I had said probably tomorrow was better, because I'm like so puffy and
yeah.
I can't handle too much excitement.
I don't think people realize what a stress flying is on your body and traveling is on your body. It's so stressful to your circadian rhythms. Hey, Vanessa.
Hi, Vanessa.
Got a lot of awesome people watching. So yes, well, we'll just, we'll take it easy. You look great. You don't look puffy at all.
Thank you.
Happy belated birthday. Everybody wish Caitlin a happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I did eat some dairy yesterday, so that doesn't help either.
Yeah, I just did a whole YouTube video about my experience with dairy this week. And yeah, it's like it's probably not going to be good, but it's almost like a little, like, I'll just have a little, it'll be fine. And then, yeah, yep, every time. So.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, I made a video about that like the week before last. But I forgot to say that there was good things about dairy. It was like only the bad things, because that was like the only thing coming to my mind. But there is good things if you can tolerate it.
Yeah, I think it's like 30% of the population can do all right with it. It's all ancestrally kind of based. Yeah.
Is my Wi-Fi okay?
Yeah, I think so. You're good. Is mine all right?
You're loud.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Yeah.
She's the biggest fan.
So yeah, I guess if those of you who are joining, thank you for all tuning in. Caitlin and I have been kind of talking in the background a little bit about fasting. I don't know. And Caitlin can talk on this a little bit too. I see a lot of women, especially women, who get into kind of binge cycles with fasting, or they think that it's something that is kind of required with the carnivore diet. And so we're just going to kind of talk through some of that stuff. And I will say, first of all, I think fasting is awesome for autophagy, for healing. I have done a decent amount of it this year. But it has a downside also. And so that's kind of more so what we're going to discuss today is, just if you keep on having trouble fasting, like why that is biologically, what's going on with your brain and your body. And so hopefully we can offer some support with that. That's a lot of the questions that I got about fasting. So hopefully we can kind of talk through some of that. Yeah. What do you think, Caitlin?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should just start with like our history of fasting and stuff like that.
Yeah. You want to go, or do you want me to start?
Well, you've done a lot more extended fasting, so I'll just talk about why. I'll just talk a little bit about how, like we didn't call it fasting back in the day. It was just starving. So in high school, if you don't know, me and Sarah have a very similar story about being overweight children and going to Weight Watchers. And then in high school, I was a little more independent, and I got to go to the gym, and I started hanging out with a girl who was really into restricting her food. And several different ones, but one is coming to mind. She would not eat the entire day at school, so I was all day just not eating, drinking like Diet Coke and stuff. And I got into doing that too. But then when we got home from school, we would binge on lean cuisines out of her freezer. Her mom worked, she was like a single kid, her mom was working all the time. So her mom just filled the freezer with lean cuisines. So when we come home, we just eat them all. And then so it was kind of this feast and fast cycle. And because we were so hungry and we were like white knuckling it all day. And so that's just my first, foray into fasting. And then so it doesn't have it has a very negative connotation for me. And then also later on, I did a lot of low-fat dieting where I was eating more often, but it was just, I was always hungry. So I feel like, it was caloric restriction, and, that is kind of a form of fasting and can have similar benefits. And so it brings up a lot of negativity for me, a lot of baggage around that. And I just was so hungry for so many years, like at least 10 or 15, maybe 20 years of just being hungry, waiting, watching the clock, when can I eat again? Trying to count those calories, keep them under a certain level. And, I just have so much baggage around that and bad feelings. And so on Carnivore, one of the things that drew me in was that my sister did it first, and she told me, well, you can eat as much as you want. And I was like, well, then I'm sold. I know at least I won't be hungry. I'll try it at least for 30 days. And so then I thought, for sure, if I'm eating fat and meat, I know I won't be hungry. So at least I can do that, because that hunger thing is very triggering for me and very upsetting, So then, I was so full the first 30 days that I was like, well, this is awesome. I don't have to worry about being deprived. And of course, now it's been 14 months of doing it and, loving it. So, I first started with just that 30 days, and, it doesn't feel restrictive the way fasting does. And even in the first, I ate 3 meals a day. Now I eat 2 meals, and every once in a while I eat 1 meal just because it just happens. But I've kind of settled in the 2 meals feels the best for me. Because then I know I don't like eating a huge amount at one time. That doesn't feel good to me. The digestive piece. And then also, when I know, if I feel like I can't eat for 24 hours, then I have a lot of bad feelings that come up, like, oh, I have to stuff myself now because I won't be able to eat for 24 hours. Yeah. And I just go into this really negative mindset, and I like eat till I'm hurting, and I just don't like that. So, and my stomach like one day when I was writing my book, I cooked 2 T-bones to take a picture. And I was like, oh, I'll just eat them because they're hot and they're, I ate the one and I was like full, but I was like, well, this one's hot and I don't want to waste it or whatever. It's not going to be good later. So I just ate the second one. And then I was like in so much pain, and then it's not the full feeling like the eating bread, or it's a different feeling, but it's still not pleasant. And then of course that time I did do OMAD because I was like, oh, I definitely see if you eat that much, you can do OMAD, but I just don't like eating that much at once. It just doesn't go down well. So yeah, that's kind of my history of fasting.
Yeah, I relate to so much of that. I feel like, and we're about the same age. I'm maybe like a year or so younger than you. So we're very similar growing up, the latchkey generation, lean cuisines. And I remember in high school, in my history for those.
I forgot that word. I haven't heard that word in a long time. Latchkey
kids. Yeah. My mom worked, and so I was like, I'm in charge of the 2 younger sisters when I was like 12, it's just like growing up in the 90s. But I have lost 100 pounds 3 separate times in my life. So I'm really good at dieting. Like dieting is like, I've always been able to lose weight. I've done every kind of extreme diet that there is. I've done, Weight Watchers, cabbage soup diet, Master Cleanse, the lemonade diet. I've done that like 3 times. I've done like everything. And, you know, 10 years ago, I lost 100 pounds the last time. I did it through Weight Watchers and lots of working out. So I'm very well acquainted with that starvation feeling. And it brings up a lot for me. You know, it definitely brings up a lot of emotions for me. So finding carnivore was just like major, major food freedom. It was, and I've struggled with it. I've been very open about struggling with being okay with letting myself eat, being okay with just letting myself have food when I'm hungry instead of like macro tracking and calorie counting. And, you know, so I fell into this year with carnivore doing some extended fasting because I thought that it was the only way I was going to like lose weight. And honestly, I don't have a ton of weight to lose. I would, you know, I'd like to be looking like I did in my vegan vegetarian days when I probably looked a little bit sick. I was like a size 0, size 2. I was really, really small. You know, I'd like that, but carnivore hasn't done that for me. What carnivore has done is a million other wonderful things for me. Mentally, eczema, digestion, all of that, but I haven't gotten super skinny. So I started trying to experiment with extended fasting 4 months into carnivore. I did my first 72-hour fast. I felt good. I didn't really go on a binge afterwards, but it brought up a lot of anxiety. It brought up a lot of, just a lot of mental stuff for me, you know? And the thing is, I did lose the weight. I lost some weight, but I compensated. I didn't binge right afterwards, but I overcompensated probably for like 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, eating more to make up for the weight that I lost. So it all ended up being like a net, you know? But I didn't learn. So I did another extended fast, and I have done 48s and 72s throughout. I did do a 72 a month ago when I got sick with a cold, and I'm going to make an exception and say that's okay. If you're sick with a cold and you just really don't feel like eating, I think it's all right to have bone broth and not eat. But I did like a 6.5-day water fast in July, and that was too much for my body to handle mentally, physically. I got sick afterwards. I got really sick. And then again, of course, I lost the weight, and then it ended up being like a net. It was like I probably for the next 6 weeks probably ate more than I should have. So I think I've done a lot of healing as far as like not going into like a straight up binge after a fast, which is what I see a lot of people doing. But it still didn't make me lose weight, which is why I wanted to do it, you know? And so I think that's something that I don't think people understand. Either they binge right after a fast because they're like, you've activated that primal part of your brain that is wired there for survival to keep you alive. Or for me, it just ended up evening out. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about before we go back and forth is just, it kind of devastated my hormonal cycle. I lost my period for a few months, and I've just now gotten it back regularly. And I had to get my period back. I had to eat a lot. I had to eat a lot of meat. I had to nourish myself. I had to be very careful not to restrict because I guess my cycle is delicate, and it was scared me because my cycle's always been, huh?
I don't think you're the only, I think that's the norm, not the exception.
Yeah. I mean, when I was vegan, I didn't get a cycle because I was so skinny and malnourished. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm carnivore. I'm supposed to be healthier now. And I don't have a cycle. What's wrong? You know, I think it's Dr. Fit and Fabulous that says that your cycle is your 5th vital sign. So if you start losing your cycle as a woman, I think that's something to look at. It's going to change a little bit when you start carnivore. It's going to change a little bit, but yeah.
That's the biggest thing to look at. I mean, kind of the same thing happened to me. It wasn't about my period, but for some reason I've always had cycles, but they were very, very heavy, like debilitating almost, especially when I was not on a lower carb diet. They were, you know, days in bed, so heavy that I had to just like wear a diaper. You know, it's like you couldn't even walk from here to there without like needing to you know, change something. And headaches, really bad headaches, and you know, missing school, missing work, whatever. And I think that that was all due to my bad diet or low fat diet or vegetarian diet. So what happened to me was very hormonal. Was for a year I was a vegetarian, and for years before that I was in very low fat dieting. So then I capped it off with the vegetarian diet for 1 year, and that is when my Hashimoto's flared up so bad that I was in bed for 3 months trying to figure out what was going on. Like every moment I wasn't at work, I was in bed. So I was sleeping 18 hours a day, and my thyroid was totally messed up. I had no energy. I had to go on thyroid medication. And, you know, that's a vital sign of hormonal health. That is like the center of your hormone, you know, balance, and where many of your, almost all of your functions come from. So the ability to lose weight, your digestion, motility. So my digestion completely stopped working. I was just stopped up. I didn't even go to the bathroom for, you know, for many, many, many days. And so that was, everything just came to a grinding halt. And that's what, you know, that was an extreme, you know, I never lost my period, but I just lost the ability to move. So, I couldn't even stand up for more than, you know, 20 or 30 minutes. I had to sit down or hold a wall or, so, you know, if you don't rest and take this seriously, your body will do it for you.
Yeah.
So the more you think you can push and push and push and fast and restrict, you know, your body at some point will put down the gauntlet and say, I've had enough. You've done it. You know, if you won't take this seriously, well, then I'll make you. So, you know, either I had a friend that was a holistic nutritionist. I mean, she's still my friend. She says, you're just not sick enough yet, you know? So, it happened. I know for you the same way. You kind of hit the wall, and that's what got you into carnivore. Your hormones went crazy, and then you were like, this isn't working.
Right.
So
I'm not getting skinny. I don't have visible abs, you know. And I hate it. I hate it because I talk to a lot of women. A lot of women reach out to me, and I had talked to someone yesterday, in fact, that was like, you know, mentally I feel so much better. My depression's gone. My joint pain's gone. I'm sleeping good. I have a regular cycle, blah, blah, blah. But I have this extra weight that I want to get rid of, and it's not leaving fast enough. And it's not, so I think I want to just do a bunch of fasting. And I was like, no, no, you know, and I think I watched the Nutrition with Judy episode with Kelly Hogan, where Kelly Hogan talked about starting carnivore. And that's the story I love to tell people about, is that she gained weight when she first started carnivore because her body was malnourished, you know. And I think even people with a little bit of extra weight can absolutely be malnourished. I think you can be suffering from that. And so if you're going to start fasting, you're going to make that malnourishment even worse, you know.
Well, the thing about your period and reproductive health is not a priority for your body.
Right.
Breathing, elimination, still kind of borderline, but just keeping your heart going.
Yeah.
When you're under extreme stress, your body will just shut down non-vital functions. So having your period is one of those. Having a baby is another one. Your body will just say, oh, that's not necessary right now because you're dying. So it's going to signal that running from a tiger feeling inside of you, and it's catabolic. So you will break down your gut lining. This is what happened to me. I broke down my gut lining. I was reacting to every single food. I had run half marathons till I was blue in the face.
Oh God, yeah.
I was very thin, but I was very, very sick, and everything stopped for me. And then I was just a huge wreck. So if your body is getting that signal that there's a tiger running after you, which is what it feels when you're restricting your food, when you're exercising too much, when you're not sleeping, and you're dieting all the time, that is the signal it's getting. So it's going to break down your muscle tissue. It's going to break down your linings, all your linings, the linings of your brain, even. That is your immune system. So when you break all that down, then you're just like a colander, basically. Everything is going through you, and it's affecting you. So it's basically setting your immune system off into overdrive. So that's when the autoimmune process starts. So your gut becomes, like I said, a colander. So every single thing that you're eating goes straight into your bloodstream because you've got all these holes in your digestive lining. So it goes into your bloodstream. It sets your body on this autoimmune attack. So it's saying, why is there food, undigested food in? Because you've broken down the lining of your gut from all of your dieting and all your stress.
Yep.
So then the food's getting into your bloodstream. Basically, it's feces, as Rob Wolf would say. And so your body is attacking that because it's like, we have foreign particles in our bloodstream. And then your body goes into overdrive and it starts attacking healthy tissue, but it starts making mistakes. So that's what happens in the autoimmune process. So you'll either get some kind of skin rash, you'll get some kind of, and I mean, in extreme cases, they get MS. And the problem is that autoimmune diseases all go together.
Yeah.
So you get one, you'll get another. And that's what scared me and really made me take this seriously. When I got Hashimoto's, it was like, okay, well, the next stop is MS. So I really want to do everything I can to heal up my gut and to stop the stress. I mean, now I sleep a lot. I sleep all the time. And I don't like, which I think is so important. You got to move weight loss to the back burner. If you don't want to get super sick, you got to think, okay, that is not my end goal. That is not my goal as a woman. You know, that is not what I'm alive to do.
Is to be skinny.
Yeah. I mean, that is what our culture tells us.
Yeah.
You know? And we're brainwashed into that so much. And I mean, I have women write me every single day that they are so scared to gain weight. They don't want to even start carnivore because they're so afraid to gain weight. Yeah. And then yesterday, a girl wrote me and she was like, well, I'm, 120 pounds, 5'4", whatever. Like, she wasn't overweight. She wasn't, and she probably was thin. I mean, that sounds thin. And then,
sounds thin to me.
Yeah. And then she said she's gained some belly fat or something. I don't remember the number. If she did gain weight, it wasn't a lot. But she'd been doing 3 months. But then I said, and then later, I always just throw it back at them. What, how's your stress? How's your sleep? Did you have a change in your life? Yeah. Because you're not giving me any information. All they ever say is, I'm gaining weight on carnivore. It's like, well, so then of course it comes out that she's lost her period 3 months ago. And it's like, well, your body is trying to get your period back. It's like, holding on to some fat and holding, I know we have such a messed up image of, the people in Hollywood, they are professional actors, they're professional models, whatever they do. And they are holding at a very unrealistic body fat level. And, they may have starved themselves for that photo shoot, or they're airbrushed and whatever. And we think that that's how we're supposed to look. Right. And, the way you're supposed to look, there's one of my favorite books from nutrition school was The Sugar Cure by Julia Ross. And she has the best advice is go back in your family photos, like from your grandmother and great grandmother, and look at those women. That is what you're supposed to look like. So they probably look like, I mean, for me, they weren't stick thin. They were doing so much, work around the farm and whatever. Yeah, same here. Yeah. And they weren't, they didn't look like Halle Berry on a cover of a magazine or something. And so, not everyone is going to look like that. Right. And they were doing physical work all day, washing clothes or whatever. They didn't have all this machinery that we have. And, modern conveniences. And so that is like your kind of genetic makeup. And that's what you should really strive to look like, not you know, of course there's the opposite, of the people who can't get out of the bed or can't get out of the
right
out of the house because they need a forklift. Now we don't want that, but
right.
you know,
Well, we want health, you know, and that's like why I wanted so badly to kind of have this conversation with you, to put that out there, because both of us have a lot of women that follow us. And what I would love to do, what I'd love to see happen in the carnivore community, it's still really young, relatively speaking, is that we really make it okay for women to not be stick figures and to be healthy and to promote mental health and to promote like strength and to, you know, like I love what some other women are doing, like Jamie, you know, Dr. Fit and Fabulous. She's talking about getting muscle, lifting weights, and she's not a stick figure. I mean, to me, she looks amazing. She's ripped. But we have to stop with this ideal that we see out there. And the more of us, I think, in this community that can speak up for like that, I think it's just, we got to keep putting that health message out there.
But it's also,
personally, I don't think eating, not, okay.
I mean, I look at her and, you know, she looks amazing and she's a doctor and she's beautiful and she's fit and everything. But like, take into account, you know, she has a very, like, it seems like Abe type personality. You know, she's getting up at 5 o'clock and she's going to the gym and everything. And, you know, not everybody is like that. Like, I mean, you know, more power to her. That's awesome. You know, but don't compare yourself.
Right.
Like, you know, she's a very ambitious person. I mean, I don't know her or anything, but I'm just saying that's what you can take away from her thing. But, you know, not everybody's like that. I think weight training is amazing for self-esteem and everything. But if you're having some kind of major hormonal breakdown, I think
not a good idea.
The last thing you can do, the worst thing you can do is get up at 5 o'clock in the morning,
Yes.
go and kill yourself in the gym. I mean, especially, I mean, I like that she puts the weights first, but after I had my health crash, I had to take 3 or 4 months. I just walked around my neighborhood because I had been doing weight training. I had been doing running, and I, you know, I just had to completely take a break. So it depends on where you're at.
That's true.
You know, with your health.
I didn't do any working out until July of this year. I basically crashed into the ground about a year ago. It was November, December last year. I had my complete crash. I went from weight training 4 days a week and doing Ashtanga yoga at 5 a.m. most days to 0. And I had to. I mean, I literally had to. I did not have the strength to go and do that anymore. But my body was done. So I did not start weight training again until July of this year. So I took almost 7 full months off of weight training. And now I only probably weight train 2 days a week. I'll go back and forth and do 3, and it's not the high intensity. I mean, I'm not box jumping and I'm not doing all that stuff. I'm just weight training and doing yoga and walking. But yeah, I think that's another thing people do that also can stress out their bodies, is they just want to go balls to the walls in the gym, and I don't get up at 5 in the morning to work out.
Or for anything.
No, I'm not going. I won't be there. Sorry. You know, I wake up at 6 and I meditate, and I spend the first hour of my day not going on my phone, relaxing, you know, trying to have a calm, peaceful time that first hour. I don't go. And if you do that, that's cool. But for me, I've just found my body, if I do that, it goes into survival mode. I mean, that's just, it's going to go to survival mode, and it's going to crash and burn out.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I had to change was I used to be a personal trainer for 7 years. So every day I was up going to my first client at 6, and I was drinking a pot of coffee just to get there. Mm-hmm. And I was standing there like so tired, and you know, and this person is also stressed to the max because they're working all night or all day. I mean, they're usually high-powered professional people who can afford a personal trainer, and you know, they're doing the worst thing to their body at the same time as I am. So it's like, it's like, just a bad combination. And, you know, one of the best things I did for my healing was I quit working in the morning altogether, and I just slept in for many years. I mean, I still do, but I wake up naturally about 6 or 7, and I cut out all the things that, you know, I don't have early morning meetings. I don't have anything because I won't sleep the night before.
Right.
So I just let my body sleep as much as I can. I mean, this was 11, and it was a struggle for me to get it together. But that was because I was flying, whatever. But,
yeah, that was a time difference for you too. So that was an adjustment too.
Yeah, and so, I mean, you just have to go easier on yourself. If you want to have your hormonal health back, you have to go easier on yourself. It's not a question of pushing harder, which is I think our natural inclination is just to push harder.
Yeah, it is.
And that's going to have the opposite effect.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what our society is like. Get up at 5 a.m., push yourself harder. And that's where I'm seeing the fasting kind of trickle into carnivore. It's like, okay, we're kind of doing this way of eating, which a lot of people from the outside looking in that haven't experienced what I call like the freedom of it, say that it's very restrictive. So we're going to move into this way of eating, and then we're going to just not eat for a few days, you know, and I think it's too much, and people are doing it like, oh, I've been carnivore 3 weeks, I'm going to do my first extended fast, and I'm like, holy crap. I mean, I waited 4 months, and I still think that was not necessarily the best thing. And the other thing is, I've been following a little bit of like Joan Ifland. I don't know if you've seen any of her stuff about food addiction. She talks a lot about how the brain works, and works with people in food addiction recovery. I'm absolutely loving her work right now. But I just heard her talking on a podcast about how when you fast, you should never fast if you've had an eating disorder in the past. It is a very...
And I'm out.
Huh?
I'm out.
Yeah, same. Like, it's what it does to your brain if you are trying to recover from food addiction. Fasting is going to, again, just push you back into that fight flight. It's going to trigger that addiction center in your brain. You're going to have to fight with all of your might, not meaning to rhyme there, but you're going to have to fight really hard not to binge. And then even if you don't binge, you may have what I had, where you just end up overcompensating, you know, and it's just,
well, that's
it's
what
not,
I do.
it's not worth it.
If I know I'm going to fast, then I stuff myself. And then the next day when I finish the fast, I stuff myself again. And it's like, and I just don't feel good. And it's just a big mess. And I like what Vanessa Spina talks about. And I mean, I've heard this on, and I mean, that was one of the benefits of keto and carnivore in the first place. It's fast mimicking. So you're getting, it's like, that's not good enough. It has to be more. So we're already getting all of these benefits from
a fasting mimetic,
keeping our blood sugar completely stable, having our body do all this healing because of the amount of protein and fat. I mean, you're getting all these benefits that are just like fasting. But, that's not good enough. It has to be more, it has to be more stress,
Right. Yeah, this is the message I really wanted to put across with the video. Is like doing carnivore is really enough. I mean, it's enough. And I think that some people, and for me, it's been a full year on carnivore. I would like to lose, like 10 pounds or so. And I'm okay with not right now. I'm okay with, my body needs to eat. I'm hungry. I'm going to eat. Like last night, I was on my stories kind of talking about eating a burger at 7:30 last night. It wasn't what I wanted to do. I was like having a stressful day, and I really wanted the carbs and the sugar, and I was just like, oh, so I just had a burger at 7:30 at night last night, and it got me through a stressful time, and I woke up today. I don't weigh myself. I don't get on the scale because it just messes with my head still. So I do measure myself once a week just to check in. and I gained 0 inches this week. I was exactly the same as I was last week. And I probably ate 3 pounds of meat yesterday because I was hungrier and I was going through a rough time emotionally. And my body if I had eaten that much food and sugar and carbs, I would definitely have woken up with more inches and not feeling well. But because I ate the meat, and that to me, that's healing. Okay. Like,
I mean, people so afraid of eating. I mean, when I first started carnivore, I would eat 3 times a day, like I said. And if I was hungry at night, like you just said, like sometimes I would eat some meat for dinner, but then maybe it wasn't enough fat. So I would just scramble up some eggs and eat that. And then I was like so full that I couldn't, I mean, I wasn't sickly full, but it was just like the thought of food was just gone from my mind, And so if people are always like, what do I do on carnivore if I'm hungry? Like eat. Like, why
Eat.
are you,
Have
why is that even a question,
Yeah. Yeah, I just want people and giving yourself that permission to just eat and not have to feel hungry. You mentioned that too. Like, I feel like I'm 40 now. I just turned 40 in June. I feel like I've been hungry for most of my freaking life. Like, most of my life, I have been hungry and trying to fight it. And okay, what can I do? Can I chew gum? Or can I drink diet soda? Or, and with carnivore, I don't have to play those games anymore. I'm not playing the hunger game. It's like, I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat some burger or ribeye or something that satisfies me. And I'm okay, and I feel better.
And I mean, I know you've done a lot of measuring. What do you measure ketones anymore?
I haven't been. I really haven't been. When I was fasting, I would measure my ketones constantly because I needed to have some kind of measurement. But I mean, I can kind of tell if I'm in ketosis or not at this point, just by how I feel mentally and the energy that I have. I am about to put on a continuous glucose monitor just because I'm curious. I got one that I'm going to be putting on this afternoon. But that's more to measure how I respond to stress, how I respond to cold therapy, eating beef versus chicken. I've got some weird carnivore experiments coming up, but I don't like to obsess over my ketones. I haven't found that to be helpful,
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like you're gonna if you are in ketosis, which I'd say we probably are most of the time.
Yeah.
Just anyway, because our carbs are 0 or less than 10 or whatever, then I feel like you're gonna get all those benefits that you would if you were that you were in your fasting anyway. It's like the same thing. It's just if you're in ketosis, you're gonna get all of those brain benefits. And people worry so much about ketosis, but I feel like we are in ketosis.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't measure it anymore, and mine's really low. When I was measuring it, I was 0.4, and some people said the range should be lower, and maybe my protein is too high, but I really don't care because, I mean, I don't measure anything really because, and maybe at some point I will or something, but right now it's just not a priority. To me, it's just, but because I can feel it. If I eat something too lean, I still feel hungry.
Me too.
And I just don't feel right. It's almost like a brick or something. It's just kind of this yucky feeling. So then I'll add some eggs or something like that, or I'll just, I mean, I can't eat lean meat at all. Last night, my husband made me some filet, and I just put pats of ghee on every, a tablespoon of ghee. It was 3 little pieces, and I put a tablespoon on each piece because it's I just can't even. And I mean, that's the most tender steak, but I just I have to have something. Usually I make hollandaise or something, but I didn't feel like it. So if it's a lean meat, I always add fat to it because I just don't feel well. And I think women need more fat than men also. Because of our hormones.
They do. Especially the week before your cycle. And that's one thing that I can't even really do intermittent fasting the week before my cycle, or I won't get it. Like, I won't get it. And I don't feel good, and I want to just stuff my face constantly, and then I'll end up eating something that's not carnivore and feeling even worse. So I think that PMS week, you're going to be hungrier because your body is working its ass off. You know, like your body is working really, really hard to produce those hormones so that you will have a cycle and you can continue the reproductive cycle. So I think that's another thing a lot of women fall into, is they try to just say, I'm only going to eat X amount of meat per day. And they try to do that every single day. And you're not going to have the same caloric or nutrient, whatever, you're not going to have the same needs from day to day. And I just give myself permission the week before my cycle to eat more, especially more fat. I mean, I'm going to break out the raw beef suet and break out like the fatty ribeyes. Lamb is something I'll eat the week before my cycle because it's a lot fattier.
You eat that every day. So I was going to say something, but I'll think of it in a second. But I mean, just take that, I always say, and in my book, I say, women mostly eat about 2 pounds or, somewhere in that neighborhood, but it's just eat till you're full. Like, don't have, forget about the calories, forget about the amounts, forget about weighing and measuring, just eat. And then your body will find the right place. I think.
Yeah.
Because I feel like as soon as I tell myself, you can only have 1.5 pounds or something, like try to have less today, then I will start looking for some junk or some cheese or pepperoni or something like more processed, because I'm like pissed off that I have some cap, and so it just swings back the other way. And you see it, people also doing like eating pork rinds all day and snacking, and and maybe for some people the intermittent fasting is a good idea. But even for me, like in that instance last night, okay, you ate a burger at 7. Well, that was probably outside of your fasting window.
I was outside of my eating window because I try to stop at 5:30 or whatever, but I was like, I don't care right now.
But you didn't gain weight, and
no,
it's like, and I'm sure you've done that before, and you noticed, and you didn't gain weight. I mean, you've kept your weight pretty stable for what? How many months?
Like almost a year. I did have an initial weight loss when I first went on carnivore of like maybe 15 pounds that just kind of fell off in that first month. But ever since then, it's been pretty stable. I fasted and lost inches, and then they come back, and then it's like,
I mean, so I feel like as soon as I don't even like intermittent fasting. I think it happens for me naturally.
Yes.
But I don't even like that, because to me, even hearing that triggers negative behavior for me. It's like, oh, and also it's antisocial. Like a lot of the times I live really close to my family. I know you do too.
Yeah.
There's so many times where there's family dinners and things where we all do eat more similar to each other. So it's not that bad for me to be around them or anything. Like, they all like to eat a lot of meat and stuff. So, I'm not going to say, well, I can't come, or I can't eat with you guys.
Not in my eating window. Sorry.
Yeah. Or, my husband wants to take me to our favorite barbecue restaurant. Like, I'm not going to, and my husband eats, we're on completely different eating schedules, and we just let it go. I mean, every maybe 2-3 nights a week, we eat dinner together. It works out. But other days, he likes to either eat late or very early, or he skips dinner altogether. And I mean, so it's like, we're not on the same page. And, my family, they like to eat early because my sister has little kids and she wants to go to bed early and get them to bed. And so, it's just all over the place. And if some days there's a brunch, if we're going to have a holiday brunch, I mean, I'm not going to say, well, I'm not going to go. like the number one predictor of health is social connection. You know, you see these people dying in old folks' homes. They don't have any friends, or they don't have anybody to spend Christmas with. Like, that is going to be more important than whether you ate 2 meals or 3 meals.
Exactly.
In the long run, or 1 meal, you know. So, you know, having somebody to live for that you care about is just so much more important than how many calories you ate that day, or you know, how many hours you didn't eat. You know, I just feel like it's not that important. And you know, if you naturally fall into a fasting for a certain amount of time, then, you know, like that's fine, but don't push it.
I agree. It's stressful to be looking at the clock and, you know, I'm hungry. You can't eat because you've decided you're setting the clock for this time, you know. And then especially that week before my cycle, I have to eat breakfast that week. That's one thing I found through trial and error. Like, if I don't eat breakfast the week before my cycle, I'm likely to not get it. It's really a delicate thing. So eating when I wake up that week is really, really important to me. But if I'm like, no, I'm on a fasting schedule, so I'm either going to have to like skip a meal at some point, and so that I can hit that eating window and be all like, stress is a huge, huge problem as far as keeping your hormones regulated as well. People don't think about that, you know. And if you're going to be stressing out about eating by the clock constantly, then you're kind of, I think it's kind of counterproductive. And I fall into natural intermittent fasting. I probably eat 2 meals per day most days. Some days I'll do 1 meal per day, but not often. And when I do, usually I'm like really hungry before bed, even if it was like 2 pounds of meat or something ridiculous. Like, that's just how I work. Like, if I was to eat 2 or 3 pounds of meat at like 1 o'clock, by 6 o'clock, by 7 o'clock, I'm hungry again. And I want, you know, so it's like, I might as well just eat 1 pound then, and then 1 pound earlier in the afternoon, because I'm going to get hungry again later. And I don't.
Well, and then you can't, if you eat a lot at 10 or 8 or 9, it's gonna be like up here, and you won't be able to sleep. And that's what I found. When I tried to do 1 meal a day, I would get hungry at 10 o'clock, and then it's too late to eat because I'm not going to sleep if my food is sitting on the top of my, you know, stomach. And so it's just better if I just go ahead and eat a little bit at 5 or 6, and then I'll sleep better, and everything will just go better, and I won't have those like restricted feelings. And you know, the worst is if you do that, and then, you know, you find yourself at 7 going out to get a Rebel ice cream.
That's
you know,
that's what I would fall into.
Or just eating like a block of cheese. That's what I would do. Is eat like a pound of cheese because I skipped a meal or something like that.
It's all like that part of your brain is so strong, and it works extra hard when you're in restriction mode. And I think it's like dieting PTSD, honestly.
It is. I mean, I'm so aware of it. I mean, if anybody tries to tell me what I can eat or what I can't eat, or it has to be my choice. Like, I completely freak out. Like, even if my husband's like, well, you know, you really don't need any more. I'm like, I'll show you.
Really? I'm the same way. My husband can't, he's like, what is wrong? You know, I'm like, don't tell me what to do.
And he's right. I mean, last night it was my birthday, so I was like, I'm gonna eat a Rebel ice cream, you know, and I ended up eating 2.
I know your story.
I don't even keep them in the house, and then I woke up with like a stomach ache in the middle of the night because of the artificial sweeteners. They don't go down well. I mean, I think, of course, the dairy doesn't either, but I think it's the artificial sweeteners. And also it was like, oh, well, it's only today I can have this because it's my birthday. So I'm like, well, I better eat 2.
Yes, because it's not going to be my birthday again for a year.
I'm not going to get this again. So it's like, all right. So, and he bought several, which I wish he bought it for me. and it's sweet and everything, but it's like he bought several because he didn't know which flavor I
So
wanted.
much like my husband. He like wants you to have a variety. He was trying to do something really sweet for you. That's what mine does too. Not realizing that if you buy me like 4 ice creams, I'm gonna I will try to eat all 4 because I'm a food addict, and that my brain doesn't just see like, oh, look at the variety. You can choose the good one that you want. My brain is like, look at all the ice cream. We have to eat it all. We have to try it all, and like.
And I think, oh, I have to get this out of here. You know,
right.
The only way to get it out of here is to go down. You know?
Yeah, you can throw it away, but I mean, yeah, I get it.
I mean, we still have 1 left, and I was thinking, like, can I take this over to my neighbor this morning? Because I don't want it here, you know, because I really don't want it. I don't want to do that again today. I want to be.
You want to have a good day.
Yeah, and so, you know, I'm gonna try to get rid of it.
I throw stuff away. I'm just like, my mother is a farm girl. She had an outhouse until she was 18 years old. So she hoards and like won't throw food away, won't throw things away. And I have that kind of beat into my head of like, don't throw anything away. And I just have made a promise to myself that if there's something in my house and it's tempting me, it's in the trash. And I'm done with it. And I don't want it in my house. I just.
Oh, the trash sometimes isn't good enough. I mean, if you
outdoor
guys
trash.
If you don't believe us, like
the outdoor trash, and then you pour something on top of it, so it's done. Get rid of it entirely.
Like, or you have to put it down the disposal, like shove it down, and then like put the water and like run it.
Yeah,
you know?
Put soap on it. It's got to go. Yeah,
yeah.
But you know, and I tell people that I work with also, and I think about it as like that $15 worth of food. How much money would I pay to not feel like crap? Would I pay $15 to not have a food hangover and to not have obsessive thoughts in my head about food and to not like go into this crazy loop of I don't know how long this is going to last? Would I pay $15 for? Hell yes, I would. I'd pay $100 to not feel like that. So throwing away a little something is no thing for me. It's done. It's gone.
And that, you know, I was up for 3 hours because my stomach hurt. You know, how much would
you pay to have that time back of sleeping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually went back to sleep from like 7 to 9 so that I could feel better. So sometimes I have to just sit up to get like the food to like go down, and then I'll go back to sleep a lot of the time but much later. Like my husband was like, "Are you getting up?" I was like, "I don't think so." So I think I'm gonna try to go back to sleep because I have my blackout curtains and everything. So
yeah, do it. Get some rest and eat some good fatty meat later today when you feel like it. And
yeah, I have my steak in there and it's getting the room temperature, so I'm gonna cook that. Anyone find? Okay, we have some questions. So anyone find, this is Sean Ferguson Muscle 1234. Anyone find that carnivore diet cures really bad bloatness? I think everyone finds that. Sean, within 24 hours, I have no bloating. The only thing that makes me bloated is dairy. So
yep.
So definitely a move. You know, try that. Some men aren't as sensitive to dairy, I think, but and it depends on the type. Some people can eat raw or grass fed, and some people, I mean that's the number one thing, because with my really bad digestion, I was so stopped up. I mean, it would be between times I would go to the bathroom, it was like I would gain 10 pounds. You know? So it was horrible. Yeah. And that is all gone on carnivore. So
me too.
So Sean Ferguson, if I can't believe he says I've been suffering with that for 2 years. Oh. You must be keto, because that doesn't happen on carnivore. So
no, not unless
in 24 hours you're gonna feel way better, and then it's just gonna keep getting better. Now, I mean, it used to be that I had to like force myself to go to the bathroom. And now it's like, it happens. Even when I was on this trip, I was going to the bathroom. I was like, this is shocking. Because usually when I was on a trip, I couldn't go to the bathroom the whole entire time. And so I was so miserable.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I was, before I started Carnivore, I looked pregnant all the time because I tried to eat tons and tons of vegetables and just a little bit of meat, like little meat, tons of vegetables. And I thought it was super healthy. I thought, but I was always bloated, constipated, felt horrible. And I was within just like a couple of days of Carnivore, like my stomach was flat, and it hadn't been flat like that in years, So that's, I mean, it's very, very helpful for that, getting those vegetables and the fiber.
It's hard because the veggies are so we're so brainwashed with the veggies. I was the same way. I would eat 4 ounces of little burger patty, and then I would have a tray of Brussels sprouts, roasted Brussels sprouts. Like I would eat the whole bag from Trader Joe's or something, It was like little chips or something. So it's gonna it does cut us off at 11.
Yeah, I was about to ask you if you had any kind of like final words or thoughts, anything to anyone out there who's struggling, what you would say to them with the whole fasting binging thing, or anything else.
Well, I mean, I say just try to get out of that fasting mindset. Carnivore is very different from keto. If you've been told like on keto to fast, and especially if you're having problems with your cycle or problems with your thyroid, just try to get out of that mindset. Try something else. Try doing Carnivore and really eat as much as you want. Eat as much as often as you want. Fill yourself up. And don't worry about any of the rules. Just especially doing Carnivore for 30 days, like completely. Don't just do a little bit. Don't just dip your toe in the water and try for a week. That you're not going to see the benefits. 2 weeks is where you're just starting to change. So you need at least a month. I'd say 6 weeks, 2 to 3 months to really get your mind right and everything. And I have so many of these FAQs. I wrote a book about it. So this is my book.
You guys check out the book.
And I know Sarah's she might be putting a link in her profile for it.
Yeah.
And so you can look in her profile and get my new book. And it's called the 30-Day Carnivore Diet Challenge. And we answer all the questions, all these FAQs. And we advocate no fasting for the first 30 days, absolutely no fasting. Because we just think people have been fasting basically their whole life and it's not working for them. And so we really want you to refeed and, your body's going to become more muscle and less fat just on its own without you worrying about restrictive eating windows or anything like that. And then later on, once you've adapted and everything, you can try that if you want to. And see if it goes with your personality and your lifestyle, but it's not something that you need to do at first at all. I mean, I didn't even try to do even intermittent fasting till way, way, way later. And so just don't even have that as part of something you have to do. It's just put that out of your mind.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so many people are coming into this, they have health issues. That's why they're doing it. And so you have health issues, you're already in a stressful state. And so just don't worry about fasting. It's just one less thing you can cross off your list, and you can always revisit it later when you feel better or stronger. So, and I'm going to be doing coaching for January. So anyone who buys my book, you can be in my coaching group. So we're going to do live coaching every day for the month of January. My sister is also a carnivore for many, many months, longer than me, actually. She taught me how to be carnivore. So she's going to be doing the coaching with me. We wrote the book together, and she lost a lot of weight after she had her baby. So we're going to be doing a coaching group. So if you buy my book, you'll get in the coaching group.
You guys get it this month for sure. And I'll put the link in my profile. And I'm going to put this on YouTube, and I'll put the link into YouTube also. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can get the book that way too. So I think we're about to get cut off though.
Right. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you, Kaylin. Thanks.